another 49ers members only mock draft, and I got my main man Oscar here ready to get it in. We're going to do a full 7-round mock draft, faithful. So stick around, smash that like button, and get ready. What's going on, 49er faithful? It's your boy, the WayneBreezie. I got my man Oscar in here. Oscar, how are you doing? We're used to hearing from you in the chat all the time with all the information. It's like you're a walking 49ers encyclopedia.
I'm doing good, Wayne. Thank you. I really appreciate being here. You know what? The content is great.
Thank you.
The day is great, and just happy to be here.
Man, I appreciate you. We're happy to have you here. Listen, we're not going to waste any time because what I'm learning from the faithful in the comment sections of every show is get to the daggone mock draft. So we're going to get to the daggone mock draft. And, you know, it's cool because now I get a perspective. I wouldn't say you're just a member, but you are a member of the channel. But, like, you're really a connoisseur of the sport of football. Like, you really know what's going on. And so this is going to be really interesting. I want you to pick how you want your sliders to be adjusted before we get started. So are we going...
Similar to what you did with Mike yesterday, where you did everything in the middle except for the randomness.
Got you.
Perfect.
All right. So we're picking 11. All right. We're going to go ahead and get that started. I got it set to sort of what's fast speed, and we'll go ahead and get this draft started. Just any, you know, what's some of your thoughts of how, wow. Yeah. Oh, okay. Whoa. Didn't expect Ezraku to get drafted that high, but I do like it. I've talked about him a lot, but let's just a quick recap. First 10 picks, Abdul Carter, first pick to the Titans, Travis Hunter, first quarterback off the board. The Browns went Travis Hunter over Cam Ward. Interesting. Giants get Cam Ward, Ted McMillan to the Patriots, Will Campbell, Aston NGNT to the Raiders, Mason Graham to the Jets, Mimbu to the Panthers, Tyler Warren to the Saints, Ezraku to the Bears. I feel like I already know where you're going here, but first round, you're on the clock, man.
Well, you know, the biggest thing for me is trying to make sure that we get the defense set up. And I know that everybody wants to go defensive tackle, they want to go edge. But I think when you have a linebacker like Jihad Campbell, and he's literally the best linebacker in the draft, why would you want to go away from that, especially when you just lost Greenlaw? I mean, you want somebody who's a tackling machine, smart. Yeah, I think he's roughly about the same height as Fred Warner. I think he's a 6'3", right? I think Fred Warner's like 6'4".
Correct.
You know, the biggest thing about him too is he really tracks down the ball. I mean, whether it's in coverage or kind of playing that zone and trying to attack the ball carrier once, you know, he identifies who that is. So for me, Campbell would be the first one.
I like this, and we're going to go ahead and select Campbell with the first pick of the draft. I know a lot of people are probably going to give you some slack, or you know, they're going to be like, well, not give you slack, but they're going to probably come at you and be like, well, why would you go with Campbell over an edge rusher? We clearly need edge rushing and things like that. And, you know, I'll take a little bit of time to kind of break that down. So you look at Jihad Campbell, you talked about his size, you talked about his speed. We got a chance to watch him run the 40 at the NFL Combine. He did not participate at his pro day because he had surgery, I think, on his labrum, and he's going to be out, and you know, so he'll be ready to go when season starts, but he's recovering from that, so he didn't participate in the pro day. But you got to watch him test, and you got to watch to see how athletic he is. And when you put on a tape, you're saying to myself, wait a minute, I don't necessarily have to I don't need him as a Mike. I can use him as a Sam on, you know, strong side. I could use him on the weak side where he played the majority of his last year on the weak side as a weak side linebacker. And if you want, you can utilize him as an edge rusher because he had 5 sacks on the season and he can get to the passer. So like you're getting an edge rusher hybrid linebacker, and everybody's hype on Jalen Walker, who's a hybrid edge rushing linebacker. And I'm like, but he's not the best at it. Like the best one is Jihad Campbell. So,
That's right.
you know, I mean, don't look at it as him just being a linebacker. Look at him as being a hybrid pass coverage tackling machine. That's how I would look at it. All right, pick 43, man. You are on the clock for pick 43, round two for the 49ers. You do have a trade proposal from the Philadelphia Eagles, which means you would have to move back to 64. I don't feel like that's something that you want to do
Not at
unless you
all.
get nine. Okay, there it is. So we're going to be on the clock. Now you've addressed the linebacking position. It says that our needs guard, tackle, defensive lineman. Where do you feel in corner? Where do you feel like you want to go next?
At this point, that's probably when I'm looking at defensive tackle, defensive end. You want to be able to shore up that interior, and then if you can find somebody who's a good edge, then you go for it. Now, I was looking at Collins, and Collins is good. The only thing about him is he's a little bit on the stiff side for me.
Yeah.
He's a big body, solid interior, but once he kind of gets held up, I don't really see him kind of doing any counter moves. The guy that's there right now, right behind him, is Lot, and Lot. I mean, Lot's to
The
me Lot is just one of those guys where he's stout, he has good counter moves. He's roughly at around 315, which is a good weight for them. 6'3", you wish he was, maybe 6'4", 6'5", but can't complain with that situation. So for me, Lot would probably be the next person that comes off the board.
Okay. Did you want to check edge rushers first, or you want to shore up the middle?
You know what? Let's do edge because most likely you're gonna have a couple of people there.
All right. So let's go take a look at the edge rushers. See if there's anybody that sparks your attention. You got
So
Landon Jackson there available. Braden Swenson. You got the
yeah, and you know
guys.
what?
Uh,
JT's the only one that sticks out to me.
yeah, JT Tuamalo. I think that's how
Uh-huh.
you say his name.
Tomaloa. You
Tuamaloa.
know,
Yeah.
the biggest thing about him is he's a little bit raw, right? If you look at his numbers, they jumped from the last 2 years to 2024. So I'm not sure if that's him mastering his craft, or maybe he just knew that he was going to come out and he's like, you know what, let me just do my best.
I never thought about that.
Because I mean, some of
That's
these
a big
guys,
jump,
man.
bro. 4 sacks to 15.
Exactly. So, and I don't see that they changed anything except for the fact that maybe he tried a little harder, right?
Yeah.
So for me, probably Lot would be the person that goes next.
Okay. Like the pick, man, Omar Norman Lott. So at the Senior Bowl, fell in love with this kid. Started tweeting him out. The thing that I got from him was motor. Big for 315 pounds to like just consistently be a force up there on the defensive line was crazy to me. And I was like, yo, why don't I know more about him? And when you're looking at his grades, you look at his stats, you're like, well, they're not really eye popping, right? Like his grade isn't good, but I 18.9% pass rush win rate. I can't ever say that freaking phrase. Pass rush
Win
win
rate.
rate.
There you go.
That's it. That's what I need. That I need guys that I know are going to be effective in the pass rush game as well as being able to fill these gaps for these linebackers to come in and make these tackles, and that's what you're going to get from him. Plus, the motor is crazy. I watched him take a double team from in an all-star practice and like dismantle the double team. So I really do like the Norman Lott pick. I feel like he's kind of going under the wayside though. But the pick is in. Omar Norman Lott on the defensive tackle side, interior. We've addressed two defensive positions. I wouldn't be surprised, Oscar, if Robert Saleh gets the first three picks in this draft. Like, does he get? He gets his interior, he gets a linebacker, he gets a corner, he gets his interior linebacker, edge rusher. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on who's still available offensively. But I think Kyle Shanahan gives him the green light. And speaking of edge rusher, I see one that I like, but I know this is your draft, so I'm going to let you rock. But Jordan Birch is smacking us right in the face. I don't know how he's another raw guy coming out, of Oregon, kind of like going one of the unsung heroes there because that defense was stacked. But his stats were pretty good. So where are you looking to go in round three? We got two picks.
Well, the biggest thing for me here is, we went linebacker, we went defensive tackle. So edge would be huge to come up with, but tackle sticks out to me.
Okay.
Ozzy. I mean, if you look at Ozzy's height and weight and
Six
how,
freaking
I mean, this
eight.
guy is
Oh,
huge, man.
six
Huge.
eight, and he's a mauler, right? Like a
He is.
monster.
He
Like
is.
he's got like a guard mentality playing tackle. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? The biggest thing about him, and I would lean on Ray Brown. our
Okay.
new our new coach. That's
Secondaries.
his school. He saw
Yeah.
him for a few years.
Yeah.
If he tells me, you know what, my guys on the defensive side had a hard time trying to deal with this kid, then I probably go with that. Because what you need right now is you need somebody that can play both sides. Because let's be honest, Shanahan does not like to play rookies, especially on the O line. Pooney was, somebody that kind of stood out.
Hmm.
You could still play Trent on the left,
Hmm.
McKibbitz on the right, and then just kind of bring them back and forth between both sides. Giving both guys, a blow while they're out there and maybe tired. So the biggest thing for me is shoring up that tackle. The only other thing that I would probably do is look at tight end,
Okay.
just because when you have a good pick in that section, you have Ferguson and Fannin. I would go Ferguson. Only thing about Ferguson that I don't like. Hold on. I would go Ferguson. The only thing
No
I don't like about Ferguson
I-
is that Ferguson is a little bit on the smaller side and doesn't really
pass
block as well
blocking.
as
Yeah.
Fannin does.
Yeah. Listen. I, I was shocked. I'm high on Ferguson. He's one of my top 5 tight ends. I'm shocked because I didn't think anybody looked at this kid. I think what you get from Ferguson is hella athleticism, great catch radius, good reach, good hands. The athleticism is there though, like you can tell. He runs fast, he runs quick, but he's not explosive. Like there's things about him that you're going to lack. But running across the middle, getting a drag route, line him up in the slot, miss finding him on linebackers. He has the height, he has the size, and he can catch. Like I think that's. I didn't think anybody liked Terrence Ferguson. You know what I'm saying? And I really started catering towards him at the Senior Bowl. Like I know Harold Fannin Jr. was the guy to watch. Elijah Aurora was the guy that took over, but Terrence Ferguson was the one that kept me attentive. So that's a good pick. I don't know if you want to go there, if you want to go tackle though. So that's where you know what I'm saying. It gets tricky because Fannin may be there around in your
100.
next pick.
Exactly. So that's why I probably would go with Ozzy.
And you got a couple of trades that that are presented to you with the Eagles again. They want to move up, Falcons, and I think by this time we're probably not going to do any trades. So,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
right, cool. I looking at the tackle now. Let me ask you this: tackle over interior. Do you like Trapaio over Ratledge? Do you feel like I get they play two different positions. One's more athletic, one's the tackle, one's the guard. But what are your thoughts on maybe going interior offensive line or finding or getting a more athletic tackle that can play guard and tackle like a Marcus Bowe with or Jonas Savanea who's huge
Mhm.
by the way. Like what are your thoughts on those guys opposed to going with Tripio?
Well, you know what? The biggest thing for me is I could find a guard down the line, man.
Okay.
Guards are, especially when you have tackles that played tackle in college and they're
Mhm.
just not going to cut it in the NFL.
Mhm.
At tackle, you have plenty of those guys that you could just move into the interior. So for me, having somebody who is a mauler, a beast, a huge person, I mean, somebody
Yeah.
I mean,
And the
he probably will
versatility to
sit
play left or right, right? Like you talked
exactly.
about that.
And you know
Yeah.
what? And I mean, I would want to see him next to Trent just to see how
He's
big this
bigger
guy
than Trent
is,
though. That's
right?
crazy though, right?
So, for me, take that freak of an athlete with Trapillo. I mean, why not?
There it is. Wasn't trying to talk you out, was just getting your expert. Look where Terrence Ferguson went to the Cowboys. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Oh man. All right. So we have our last pick in the third round at pick 100 as a compensatory pick for the Niners. You have already, just to do a quick recap, you've addressed the linebacker, you've addressed the trenches on the defensive side and the trenches on the offensive side. I think you got two freaks, like far as monsters too. Like you got two mean mother freakers to address the trenches. Where's your brain telling you to go right now? Just the trades to check to see if that they're available. If you wanted to move out of the third round, possibly try to gain maybe 111, 140. That's up to you. Panthers are looking to trade. But what are your thoughts moving forward?
Yeah. Moving forward for me, Fannin is right there. We already
It's,
talked
it's
about
a
this
no
guy.
brainer. It's a no brainer.
Huge. And you know what? I would go Wilson, right? As well. The only thing about it is there are a couple guys down the line
You talked about that.
that
Yeah.
that are just, Manheim from USC. That's
Manhigh
another
from
kid.
USC. Yes. Yes.
So Fannin, I mean, he stands out to me.
Bingo. And with Fannin Jr., for those that don't know, I mean, you're getting the most one of the most productive, prolific pass catchers in college football history. I mean, he did it at the height of what 6'2", 6'3", and he's very undersized for a tight end. But the fact that you can utilize him, you can line him up in the backfield, you can line him up out, you can line him up in line, and he's a great run blocking tight end. He has the highest PFF run blocking grade for tight ends in the 70s, almost 80. So I really do think that's a solid pick. A lot of people are gonna look at Fannin and be like, "What?" Nah, it's like the Niners get an athletic build, and I remember the times when we used to have the two tight ends with Vernon Davis, who was the freak, the fast guy, and then you had kind of like that Swiss Army knife with a Delaney Walker. I feel
Mhm.
like that's where the Harold Fannin Jr. could kind of like fall into that category and just be utilized. All right, man, you are on the board at pick number 113. We're in round four. We got a couple of these things. See where you thinking about going now?
At this point, I would probably want to attack the defensive end position.
Okay, let's take a look at the ends, the edge rushers that are available for you right now. You got Ahmad Hassanin, Antoine Powell Ryland, excuse me, Savion Jones, Olawafemi Oladejo, fan favorite, Tyler Batty, Tyler Barron, R.J. Oben, Ja Joyner. So I'm working out today. One of my faves, no one's really talking about. They have him listed as an edge rusher, and I'm glad that they put him as an edge rusher because I think he was listed as a defensive tackle. Tyrion Ingram Dawkins from Georgia. Now, this kid's pretty undersized as a tackle, but as an edge rusher, golly, he's hella athletic. Fidel Diggs is another guy I like from Syracuse, one of my sleepers. Where are you thinking about going?
Well, you know what? I was looking at the guys here. None of them really stand out to me to go at this pick.
Yep, respect.
It would be better if somebody were to slide, but from what we have here, nobody really stands out. Now, another position that we do have to address with two picks is DT. So if you have Peebles, who's right there, and you want somebody who's a stud, get yourself a pass rushing
That's
in
what he
line
does.
and
That's
a
what he
run
does.
in Peebles.
That's what he does.
And for me, that would be the next pick.
All right, man. I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it, man. You know I like me some Aeneas Peebles, man. Listen, you talked about his pass rushing gift and ability. I mean, he has a high pass rush win rate as well. But his thing is getting to the quarterback, and I get he's a little undersized, but that quickness, that quick first step, that ability allows him to get to the quarterback. And I'm tired of missing on just guys that have gifts. I felt like Braden Fisk was the gifted guy. A lot of people passed on him because of his size and his weight, all that type of stuff. No, he's a gift. His gift is the first step. And can no one stop it? Like, you know what I
That's
mean?
right.
So don't overthink. You don't have to overthink. All right, man. Let's close out round four. We're moving right along. Round four, pick 138, are another compensatory pick for the Niners. You've addressed the interior. Your big board, not sure where you're looking, but this is who's available as far as the best players. You got Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback, Chase Loon, big. That's another big tackle, but you already addressed that with your Pio, so I don't feel like you'll go that route again. Brashard Smith, Quinn Ewers, quarterback. Where you looking to go in round four?
Well, I would go Brashard Smith. Only thing about it is Brashard Smith, I could probably wait on. I'm not
Okay.
seeing somebody really taking him, and if they do, there's a couple other guys right behind him that are just as good of a running back. Most likely, what I probably want to look at right here is cornerback.
Let's go to the cornerback position. You got Elijah Huzzy, Quincy Riley, O'Donnell Fortune, Denzel Burke, Longer Beam. When I first heard his
Mhm.
name at the combine, I
Mhm.
was like, "That's an interesting one." Jalen Smith. Any of these guys spark your interest?
Not really, actually. So can we look at the top 10, top 20 that are coming up?
Yep.
So
So
we
you
have.
got Dylan Gabriel, Chase Long, Brashard
Mhm.
Smith. Got a couple of quarterbacks in there. Mitchell Evans, tight end. Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Tyler Batty, another edge. Benjamin Urosic. Jarquez Hunter. Billy Bowman Jr., safety. Khalil Mullins, running back. Luke Condra is there. That's the guard. That's a
I'm
guard you
going to
might.
ask you something right here,
Okay.
right? if you had a choice between Luke Handra, who's
Hmm.
a good guard,
Hmm.
right? He played right guard for most of his career. We can always push Pooney to the left,
Correct.
or someone like Pat Bryant, who has
A
some good
big rice.
skills,
Yeah.
but we may have somebody down the road in Kobe Hudson who may be able to do just as well
From
as he does.
UCF.
So I'm thinking guard, kind of shore up that right and left guard at the same time. Especially we have Williams, McKivitz, we have Ozzy coming in, then we have Kandra taking up the other guard spot, only leaving us with the center as the weak spot. I mean, that's something that we could look into. McLaughlin is pretty good at center as well, though.
Yeah, he is. There, like you said, there's several centers you can look at if you don't get like the Jarrett Wilson pick. I mean, I got some guards, man. I think Jackson Slater would be a perfect fit for the Niners. And there's some got Marcus Weir. Nobody's talking about this kid from Montana State. I understand it's a small school, but if you're looking for a mean mother freaker out there, like on the play guard to pull, he has the speed, the quickness. So I feel like you could still get a valued guard if you
Hmm.
didn't want to go Luke Hundred. So if you wanted to go to wide receiver to shore up, you're getting a
Hmm.
big wide receiver right here. I mean, and again, you know, um, when I think about the wide receiver positions, I'm looking like we're looking for that potential X guy, like the guy that
Hmm.
can play outside, doesn't have to have 4.3 speed, but can just make these catches. And you look at these catches, you look at these routes. I mean, look at his route. I mean, he's got it. I mean, contested catches there. He doesn't drop the ball much. He's a man beater. That's what we need. We need a man beater. Pause. But that's what the Niners need. They need a guy that could beat man. I don't know about you, but we get tired of watching Kyle have to scheme up the zone and get guys open all the time. We need guys that can just get open. And I feel like without Brandon Ayuk, the much at the beginning of the first half of the season or 3 quarters of the season, I don't think we had that guy. I don't. Pat Bryant doesn't possess the speed, but he did run a 4.5, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that's faster than Jawan Jennings. So if you put him out there, at least he's a little bit quicker to get downfield and could get open. So I like the Pat Bryant pick. That's just me personally. I just feel like we need to go with a guy that can beat man.
Let's look at top 10 wide receivers
Oh, let's
real
do it,
quick.
man. Let's do it.
Real quick.
Now let's take our time. I like this. This is what they do. All right. So you got Pat Bryant. You talked about
Mhm.
Kobe Hudson from UCF. No one's gonna talk about Kyle Williams, but I love me some Kyle Williams. I think he's a good receiver out of Washington State. Let's look at Kobe Hudson though, because again, what am I looking for as a wide receiver? I'm looking for a guy that I know can beat man coverage. A lot of teams are still they're gonna convert to zone, but they need the right pieces to play zone, and not every team has that. That's why they have man coverage corners that can lock down half the side of the field. Well, if I have that, and Brock loves man, if Brock sees that, you want a guy that can beat that. He's gonna throw the ball to that receiver all the time. So I got Pat Bryant over this guy right here, in my opinion, just based off of what I'm looking for.
Okay.
You got Isaac Tesla, big receiver, another big receiver. We're talking 6'4", 217, so he's Jawan Jennings' height. Um, what's his grades against man coverage? Not as great. Plus, I heard he had a lot of drops.
Mm.
He dropped the ball a lot. Well, it doesn't say it here, but just from watching on the film. Nick Nash is one of my favorites. So this is my sleeper. If you don't get one of those top tier wide receivers, Nick Nash is a guy that I like. Again, man coverage. Just you see it. Like you see
Mhm.
it. The contested catches 50-50. He's gonna win 50% of them. His routes is good. He doesn't possess the speed, but he runs. I think he runs the same 40 or around the 4. He's a 4.5 guy. He's a 4.5 guy. These are bigger targets, man. Like it's up to you though. It's like wide receivers are there. Jalen Lane is fast. Dante Thornton is the fastest receiver left, and he's the biggest receiver. So I'm confused or conflicted. Why are we not looking to go this route? You know what I mean? And if he's at 199 and we don't got to get a receiver right now, you can address something earlier. Why not just settle for Dante Thornton?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, really looking at all other receivers, none of them really pop for me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think center would be the ideal spot right here.
Ooh, I like that. And are you thinking of going Seth or are you thinking of going uh
McLaughlin.
McLaughlin? I
McLaughlin. I
like
mean,
that.
the guy played in huge games his entire career.
Yeah, for sure. And it played against the top tier Big Ten defenses. Like
That's right.
yeah, you can't you can't really argue against that. Fourth round, we got us a center. I like it. I like it a lot. All right, we're back on the board. Pick 147, and see we're right here. You could still probably go wide receiver, and you got a center. And where do you think you want to go here?
Probably running back. I think right here the running backs probably outweigh the wide receivers and just how strong
Okay.
they are. Now, Ja'Cory,
Hmm.
he met with the Niners.
He did meet with
That's
the Niners.
that's one thing. He played well in the Senior Bowl, from what
He
I
was the
heard.
offensive MVP at the East West Shrine Bowl. Hmm.
The only question mark to me is why exactly he wasn't eligible in 2024. He played one game, and then the NCAA stepped in and said, "Wait a minute, you can't play." And the reason is, from what I hear, he had issues where in his redshirt year, he wore a different number and switched jerseys with a different player and kind of was a little bit shady. And,
Hmm.
that kind of makes me wonder as to why exactly was he trying to, play and not play? Was it his urgency to want to get out on the field, or was it something else? But if you look at his initial cut, the way that he views the field, I mean, the guy's pretty fast. If you look at JP Mason and the way that this guy run, it's very similar. He's looking to not run around you, but kind of run through you.
Yeah.
Only played one game in 2024, so he's crazy fresh, right? Like he's not
Yeah.
really going to be there. And the fact that we don't really have an outstanding second running back behind CMC. So I probably would go with him.
And I don't have any pushback. I think that was the word I was looking for earlier. Really like the kid. I'm not concerned with. I mean, listen, I think every kid has their situations, but that doesn't really bother me. I think for me, he was eligible to at least play in the All Star game. That means that, and we got to see him on a national level in an All Star game, right? And he was the best player. And so,
That's right.
like, I can kind of overlook young dumb stuff, especially this. That was young and dumb, right? Like that
Mhm,
was young and dumb. I
mhm.
mean, some of the other allegations for some of the other players, that's a little tough, tougher to kind of like manage. I think we can overlook that for Ja'Cory. Like I'm watching him test now. Like the kid is a beast out in the
Yeah,
football field. Oh, I wanted to show you why I love him though. Like I know you talked about. I mean, you go back to his 2023 season, it stands out, right? But this is the number that I look for. I don't know what you look for with your running backs, but I know this is what I look for. These yards after contact per attempt. And so that means, oh, he can break the hell out of some tackles, right? Like he's not
that's right.
going down on the first contact. He's still trying to get you 4 yards after being hit. Like that's what I want people to understand. Like that is the number. That's to me, that's the statistic that I'm looking for. That, of course, in explosive plays, man. You know me, I love me some explosive plays. He doesn't have many, but that's okay. He only played one game last year.
That's true.
So in the one game, he had 3 plays, 15 yards plus. Just let that sink in.
Yeah,
It's
and if you look at his zone grade too, the fact that we run that heavily,
outside zone, bro. Ski.
82.1.
Can't beat it, right? I mean,
For sure.
gap, cool. I mean, gap, I feel like, you know what I like? Let me ask you this question. Do you feel like it's easier as a running back to to kind of transition into if gap or transition into zone? Which one do you think is easier for a running back?
Probably gap. Zone, it really takes a lot of knowledge to kind of get that down and find those holes, find those seams where you can kind of just run into, run out of. Gap, I mean, you're pretty much just kind of running that ball down the
Down
down
the
the
mother freaking
defense.
throat of the offense. 1 hole, 2 hole, 3 hole, 4 hole. Everything after that is outside zone, right? And
That's
so
right.
like that was perfectly spot on. And if people watching this show, if you want to understand why Isaac Arendo struggled early, and I still think it's a struggle there because he was a gap runner and with the speed to play outside. And so yeah, he got the speed to play outside, but the concept he was missing. He was missing blocks. He was reading the blocks wrong. That's a tougher situation, in my opinion.
That's
If
right.
his zone grade is good, we don't have to worry about that. So I like this pick. Let me go ahead and draft it before I make a mistake and then we end up not getting him. So that's good. That's a good one. All right. All right, we're going to be headed to round 5. We got a 5th round pick because we traded Debo Samuel. Well, that was our 5th round pick, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, 5th round is 160.
That's right.
Uh-oh. Come on, internet. Nah, don't do this.
It's all right. It happens.
Nah. It was flowing. I'm going to pause it and I'm going to resume it. Well, so the Dolphins messed up our draft, it looks like. We were doing good. That's okay. We
It's
got
all good.
through we got through 4 rounds. We didn't get to the 5th round.
Now let's take a look at this though, right? Let's just look at who we would have gotten here in the 5th round. We can end it
Okay.
there. The big thing in the 5th round is we already have two defensive interiors. We have a linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
We have our running back, our center, our tackle, right? Most likely, what I would have looked at this point, we're looking at wide receiver, right? A skill position that we would have needed. We're
I'm trying
looking
to see if this will work.
we're looking at defensive end, and then we're also looking at possibility of bringing in some kind of cornerback. At this point, for me, if you want to just, I mean, if you want to pause it, we could just kind of take a look at what our options would have been.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you can take a look and see,
All
but
right. So let's
I
get
mean,
down to they won't show us
they won't show us.
160.
That's all right.
But I'm trying. I mean, look, I know I gotta hit the refresh button, but that's gonna restart everything over. Dang, this was
That's all good.
really good. I've never had this split before. This is PFF. This isn't my internet too, by the way. This is
Yeah,
this is
yeah.
PFF.
It's probably too many
And
people on there right now.
yeah, and it crashing their is causing their servers to blip. But we're at we so our first 5th round pick was 147. Let me clarify that. And then our last pick is 160. We can't even look to see where we would go until the draft resumes.
Yeah, yeah.
Um darn it. Darn it.
You
Darn
know
it.
what? Pause it real quick.
Okay.
See if you can offer a trade to the Dolphins.
Let's see if we can offer a trade to the Dolphins. All right. So for pick 1 and they'll move up. So we want pick 155. So that means we'll give them 160 and the next year's what?
Next year's 5.
Nah, we give them a 6
Okay.
or a 7. That works.
Did it go up?
Huh? It's the
Did
same.
you?
It's
What
both
did you
still.
choose for that? Oh, okay.
So we're gonna
155.
move up 5 spots.
All right, cool.
All right, and we'll
Let's
give up.
offer that.
Yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so that worked.
Okay, there you go. Let's
All
solve
right,
it.
so now we're at pick 155.
Not that far off.
Nope, 5 picks up. So you're on the clock.
Yeah. So, like I was saying, if you look at what we don't have right now, we don't have a wide receiver, we don't have a cornerback, and I believe we don't have an edge.
I like some of these edges, man. I know you might not like these guys, but let's see. You said wide receiver. Pat Bryant is still there, and
Brian's
you
still there.
like Pat Bryant. I
Yeah.
like Nick Nash. You said edge,
And cornerback.
receiver, and corner. Um,
Yeah, I mean, looking at this, you can get somebody like Tommy Hill.
I like Mac McWilliams better, man,
6. Yeah, I mean, these are seventh rounders though.
for
So if you
sure.
look at it, Pat Bryant, that's who I probably would go.
Let's go with the wide receiver. Let's go with
Yeah.
Pat Bryant. I like this. Get Pat Bryant. Just a quick review on Pat Bryant. 6'3", man. The big guys, he's an X. I'm trying to get people to understand, like, the Niners need the X that can run these routes. And that's kind of like what he does. He can get open. He can find ways to get open. Maybe because I talk too much, it froze the draft. But let's see what happens. And let us do it.
There you
We're
go.
moving. We got 60. You think we're not going to get through 67? Dang. Well, we got a 5-round mock draft
That's cool.
in the books. Let's see if it'll catch up.
Yeah, you know what? And most likely right here, if we didn't pick up somebody like I mentioned, a Tommy Hill, a McLaughlin in the 6th or the 7th, you're looking at maybe possibility of just drafting a quarterback.
Ooh.
I know that you're probably heavy on Tyler Shaw.
You know I like that
Huge. I
guy, man.
mean, that guy's what, 25.
That's why I like him.
Well
He's
experienced guy,
experienced. He's experienced.
experience. And you know what? I really like the way that he throws that fade into the end zone.
Yes, sir. It's
Uh,
butter soft.
exactly,
It
exactly.
floats on your love like it's like butter soft, man. It's like there and it's like perfect. It's funny. I was watching Mac Jones. One that I put a clip up on the YouTube channel. To him throwing a fade route to Brian Thomas Jr. and it was it was like a masterpiece. Like I don't think I've seen. I don't even think Brock Purdy throws the fade that that way. Like you know what I mean? So like that's an art. It's an art form.
Yeah, if you notice, most of Brock Purdy's throws towards the end zone when they're right within that 20-yard line, it's mostly back shoulder towards the
Back
corner.
shoulder, yes sir.
Back shoulder towards the corner is like his big thing. If not, he's gonna scramble, try to get to the back of the end zone, just like how he does with Brandon Ayuk. He does that a lot with George Kittle, where he's just kind of gonna scramble and have them try to find their way to find a little spot to get open. Um, the only other person that I was looking into the sixth or seventh round, and I'm pretty huge on, he's a safety from Cal, Craig Woodson.
Craig Woodson,
That's
yes.
another person that stands out to me. So Tommy Hill from Nebraska, McLaughlin, Craig Woodson, Tyler Shaw. I mean, those are probably the last 4 or 5 that I would have looked at anyways. Most likely by this point, someone like Ty Robinson's already off the board anyways.
Hmm.
But once you already have those two defensive tackles, that kind of helps you out. The main thing that people don't also really realize is after you have the draft, you have a lot of veteran cap casualties that happen.
There you go. That's
So
round
there's
two
still
of free agency, guys. Wave
exactly
two,
there's still
excuse me.
plenty of time.
Thank you, Oscar. That's wave two. That's why I did a show called Wave One, because I already know that the Niners got cash, guys gonna need a job, and the Niners are gonna continue to load up to build the 90-man roster with the 1 to 2 year deals. Like you know what I mean. So you're so spot on with that, yo. Oh man,
Yep.
that's
Yep. But
amazing.
yeah, thank you for your time though. I
Hey
appreciate
man,
it. It
let's
was
just
good. It
quick
was good.
recap. Just to let everybody know, for those that are just tuning in, smash that like button. We do apologize. PFF had some technical difficulties where it just got stuck. It froze on everybody. All right, so we did get through 5 rounds. We did make a trade as promised. All right, and Oscar decided to go first pick 11, round one. Jahad Campbell. So technically linebacker, but can rush out on the edge. So I know we didn't go edge rusher here, but we did get an edge rusher slash linebacker. Omar Norman Lott to shore up the middle, get the run defense going. We get Omar Norman Lott. Then we address the trenches in round three, pick 75, Ozzie Trapillo from Boston College. Then he decided to get that, that star, the all-star tight end, the guy that could do everything from blocking to catching touchdowns. You get Harold Fannin Jr. at pick 100. And then Oscar decided to double down in the defensive interior and get Aeneas Peebles from Virginia Tech, a true pass rushing defensive tackle. So you got your run stopper, you got your pass rusher, and now the defensive interior is going to look a lot different. I was surprised that he went center here. I like it though. Seth McLaughlin from Ohio State. You're talking about a kid that's played center on the biggest stages against some of the biggest teams and the biggest championship games we've ever seen. And he's a champion. So on top of that, that should say something. So we address the center position by Brendo. And then we go and get the all-star MVP offensive player from the East-West Shrine Bowl, Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt, the running back. You saw his explosiveness out there just from one game. But if you go back to 2023, watch his film, you'll be like, this kid's a problem. All right, the kid's a problem. And then I like how you addressed the wide receiver position depending on how the board was set to you. I thought that was spot on. You saw the best player available. For some people that don't understand, sometimes you still can go best player available, even if it's not in round one. You get to round 5, you see a wide receiver that you have on your board, and you address the position. You get a big 6'3" X wide receiver that can line up everywhere on the field. Maybe he can give you some Devontae Adams vibes. Maybe that's what we get from getting a guy like Pat Bryant. And then we had to end the draft right there. So a 5-round mock draft instead of a 7, but Oscar, I appreciate your time and your support and all your contributions here for the channel, man. Thank you so much for being here.
Anytime. Thank you. I
All right,
appreciate it.
man.
Have a good
Faithful,
day.
mock draft in the books. We out this joint. Peace. What's up, faithful? Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and make sure you check out some of the other cool videos.